What is going on? Good morning. Hello. Hope you guys all had a good weekend. For those of you that didn't hear from the NBA or whatever, I was actually in Toronto this past weekend for the UFC card, and did not go to the Hockey Hall of Fame or anything like that. I didn't really have too much time. I hadn't been to Toronto in a long time. Anyway, I was just really there for the fights. Got to hang out at the sports bar before, watch some of the football games, and was on the first plane out Sunday morning after getting a full 4.5 hours of sleep, getting back in time to lose my shirt in NFL DFS. Anyway, we're moving on to the NHL for today, and what we're going to do is what we do usually, but I usually don't do it live. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to fire off, feel free to do so. And again, I apologize if start a little earlier if you have to go backwards or anything like that to catch up. You really didn't miss all that much. So what we're going to do is we are going to, first let me share my screen, and I'll let you know exactly what we are going to do. All right, so we're going to go back and forth between the Saber Sim panel, the regular DraftKings panel, and my sheets, which are usually only available for TrueDFS premium members, but I'm going to show them this time. And we're going to, again, more important is to go over some kind of fun ways to build lineups, either by hand or using Saber Sim. And again, the goal of the hockey ones, well, I try to make this the goal for all of them, but the goal is, yes, while secondarily it is to show you how to win on this particular slate, it's to help you refine a process such that you won't have to come back to watch these videos. And that's usually that's kind of anathema to normal content, right? Like normal free content, what you're supposed to do is, you give people stuff so they'll come back and pay for other stuff. So this is like kind of weird. Like if you followed these videos, you probably don't have to come back to watch these videos again. So that is what it is. However, I mean, it's not exactly that easy. I mean, you do have to have the tools at your disposal to implement the process that I'm going to go over, such as good projections, good optimizers, good contest simulators, which is what we sell as part of TrueDFS anyway. So it's not exactly altruistic, but again, the concept is to build process so that you have to come back to these types of videos less and less and less. Anyway, so let's first take a look at the way that the games kind of lay out. And you have 2 7s, an 8, a 9, and then 2 hammers. We have a 10 and then a 10-30. And I can tell you right away that this slate is not going to be over until that last game finishes, because I believe that last game is going to get a lot of ownership. You get LA at home against San Jose, but we'll take a look. We'll see what it looks like. So again, step one is we just want to take a look at the team totals, and I don't do that for any sport except for hockey. I just like to, actually I do it a little for soccer. Just want to see what to expect before we even get into the sheets. All right, so I have Saber Sim up here, and I see like a 3-2, a 3-3, 3-1. I mean, like, it's all pretty pedestrian, 3-4. And then you get to the late night hammers, and it's the meat and potatoes. You get Vancouver at a 4-2 and LA at a 4, both of them at home. So, yeah, this is going to be a slate which I imagine is going to be pretty back-weighted. And you got to be ready to zig and zag and be up really late if you want to either sweat or anti-sweat. It's just going to be one of those. So I'm expecting to see a good amount of LA and a good amount of Vancouver show up when we run this stuff, but who knows? Let's take a look at the sheets now. And I can either do this by individual players first or by stacks, but we're going to do it by individual players. And all we're looking for, again, is it's kind of like that 30,000 seat view, sort of 30,000 foot view, where you just want to step back and just gaze at the sheets and say, okay, do we have guys from the same team that project well? Okay, because that's all, not all, but hockey is all about correlation. Okay, and finding guys that are going to help other people score, and that means having guys from the same team and also having guys from the same line. Right, so. Perfect world, we'll find guys rated here individually in the top 20 or whatever that in a perfect world are on the same even strength or power play line as somebody else from that team that also projects well. So first thing I'd look at with all of that said is that you have Kevin Fiala as top value at 5,700, and then you have Adrian Kempe at fourth top value at 6,200, both of them on the same power play line. And then you have other guys. You have Trevor Moore, 6K, but he's on the second line. Then you have the goalie or whatever, and Ferrer. So, interestingly, this LA stack looks good, but it doesn't look like it's perfectly correlated. You know, like you don't have all these 1-1s. When I say 1-1s, I mean first even straight line and first power play line. But nonetheless, it's still very strong. Like you played, say, Fiala with, I mean, you could even mess around because even though Kemp's not on the same even straight line, is on the same power play line. Trevor Moore, even though he's not on the same power play line, is an even straight line, etc., etc., etc. So all these LA guys, you can stack them up. If they're pretty cheap, so you'll be able to do it pretty easily, and they're going to be pretty popular. So you have to keep that in mind. I mean, I like playing the perfectly correlateds, but, you know, you got Fiala as the top-rated guy. I'm probably going to try to get him in. So something like Kopitar, Fiala, Kempe, that makes sense. Anyway, next thing I noticed that Boston, Pasternak, great play, but doesn't really have anybody else on Boston that rates well. So it's not the greatest stack in the world. Arizona, I mean, I do have Keller as a one-off, but that's pretty much it. And then Vancouver, I mentioned that they're going to look pretty good. But who is it? I mean, I got Patterson. Oh, Garland, but he's on the second line. Besser, all right. But these guys are expensive, like Besser and Patterson, 7,500, 8,500. And then JT, all right. So you play those three guys, then you're probably in good shape. So I think that most of your handbell lineups are going to start with something like that, like either the LA stack or the Vancouver stack, and both make perfect sense. Before we do that, let's go into the stack tool and see what that looks like. Not the tool, it's just a display, really. It rates all these guys based on different metrics. So on the left side, we're rating the top stack just based on raw points, and you're seeing that Vancouver rates #1. Not surprising. Then you have Pittsburgh and Florida. They show up there, followed by LA. The middle column, value stack, that just rates all these guys by point per dollar, and that's where these LA values come in. So LA, then Arizona, Vancouver. And modified stack is when you rate everybody kind of by sheets value score. And once again, LA, Vancouver. So no matter how you slice this, no matter how you rate these guys, no matter whether you look at the stacks or the individuals or whatever, and even if you just want to just overweight late games for flexibility, everything kind of points to playing LA or Vancouver tonight. So before we have Saber Sim kind of do this for us, let's see let's get greedy. What if we wanted to get both these teams in? We could try it. First thing we got to do is we have to put in a really cheap goalie to make that work. So we're not playing Demko for that correlation. He's too expensive. 8,200. All right, there it is. Connor Hellebuck, 7,300. That's a good place to start. All right, so with Connor Hellebuck, we're going to put him in. Now, I wonder if we can play a whole thing with LA and Vancouver and leave like one off, something else. Well, let's see. Let's go back to the ratings. Now we should probably start with Fiala, right? Fiala and Kempe makes sense. So let's start with that. Okay. Fiala was here. Kempe was here. And let's also start off with some Vancouvers. Let's see if we can get them in. Boy, it's tough, though. Garland, he's cheap. He's on the third line. It would have to – it's going to be too much, but it'll be Besser, Miller, and Patterson. Let's see how much all that is, just for the hell of it. Miller, Patterson, yeah. And who? It would be Miller, Patterson, and Besser, right? Yeah. Yeah, we're not quite gonna be able to do this. We can't get all these guys in. I definitely think that the LAs are gonna be easier. So let's try to get the LAs in first. Trevor Moore, he's on the second line. Let's go with the other cheapo. That would be, well, who is it actually? Dubois is 1-2. Daniel is 2-2. I mean, so you could just do this. And really, really easily. You don't get a lot of good defensemen today. But you can play good one-offs there. The Quinn Hughes from Vancouver is really expensive, like for example. Drew Doughty. Okay, so let's put him in here. So something like this, you know, and then if you wanted, you could probably play at least something from that Vancouver game. Let's just see. Who's a good value up here that we missed? It's not too much. So you do actually Connor Garland, second power play line, third Vancouver line. Then you have Jason Zucker. You could play him. I'm trying to think of where we want to get our value from. Did we play Dubois? I think we did. And did we play Daniel? Maybe we didn't. We didn't play Dubois. I mean, we could. I mean, these guys got to be really popular, aren't they? I mean, it's so easy to play these dudes. You play 5 LAs just like that. Boom. See, who is the best defenseman on the board here? Well, I want to play Doughty. You know, just get more from that LA game. So we'd have to give up one of these LA guys. We don't have to. I mean, you play all 6 of them, and then a couple of one-offs. Go for the full Monty. You know, 11,000. I mean, that's certainly. I've played worse. You know. You could even play Patterson, and we didn't even play Trevor Moore. Play Patterson and Garland or something like that. Patterson or even Besser, maybe not quite that much. But what else defensive-wise looks good? Montour from Florida. That's not bad. Maybe you do that. Maybe you do something like that, and then play him with the Florida guy. So yeah, this could work actually. So let's take a look. Play him with Kachuk. He rates pretty high. What else from Florida is there? Just Montour, him, and Verhaeghe. Can't play them all. You can just do this if you want. You can play Sam Bennett along with Montour if you want to do that. So actually, you can't do that. You got to play. You can't play 2 for the same team. So you have to play another one-off instead. So What's a good one-off in case you don't want to play 6 LAs? Keller I want to play. That's a good play. So let's, instead of, say, I don't know which one. I like all these guys. Let's play Keller. Can't quite do this. But we could turn this into an Arizona mini stack. So let's just take a look and see who else from Arizona we have. We could play Zucker. He's on the 2. I guess that's not too bad. Bukestad. Oops. Who do we say for defenseman over here? You can play Zucker if you want. So in any case, I mean, like, you could. I'll leave this to your own. Oh, he's a wing. Let me just finish my thought for a second here. Defenseman for Arizona. Can't really find one, so we're going to go back to Montour again. So we're just going to have a bunch of one-offs. I'd like to have one of these guys either be from Arizona or from Florida. I'd leave you to figure out which one. But this is one way to build and to play. All right, so let's go to Saber Sim and have some fun and build some lineups with this. So let's upload our custom projections, and this is the exact process I'm going to use, by the way. And whether you use your own projections, whatever, this is the way you use Saber Sim to do it. Upload here, and let's build 50 lineups, or actually 40 lineups. We are going to a default to be, for today, we'll do the 150 max. We'll build, that many. We can build 4,000 lineups. And rebuild. We'll see what we get. And what I love seeing in the hockey build is the differences between when you just rate them by Saber score versus when you apply the contest sims. You don't see too much of a difference in the NBA, but you definitely see them in the NHL. I guess that's because the distribution of points is so wild. So as you might imagine, when you just rate them by Saber score, you're going to get like all the kings, right? 95% here, 95%. When you look at the team stacks, 97% LA. And that makes sense, right? So here's what you can do, right? So one thing you could do is just fire these if you want. The next thing you could do, well, before you do anything, you want to look at stack exposure and make sure that you're not playing too much crap, okay? So what does crap mean? Well, on a 6-game slate, I really think that I want to be as close to pure as possible. I don't have to be completely pure, but it's usually the 5 zeros that give me trouble because I don't want to play them, but sometimes 6 games, maybe I do. But we're going to X these out for now. We'll X out the 5 zeros. And then do we want to play the 3-3-2s or the 4-2-2s? I think it's close. We'll leave them in for now. Okay. And you see like all these 6 zeros, and they're all going to come from LA. Because you saw when I did it, right? It was just so easy. And just to pile all those guys in. In any case, next thing you could do before you ran a contest sim is you could change the min uniques. And what that'll do is just basically give you, a little more variation little more diversification. And while it is going to sacrifice some, what do they say, projection integrity, so to speak. I mean, you're not going to get the best 40 lineups. I think that you're probably going to get a decent representation of some of the top lineups at least. So what you do is you go min uniques, and you just keep on clicking more and more and more until Saber Sim yells at you, meaning until it does not let you build 40 lineups anymore. It looks as though even playing like 8 different ones. Nope, then it goes to 17. Okay. So let's go back to 7. So what this means is that if you want to have really min unique 7, you really are dipping into the bottom of the barrel for some of them. So let's give it one more, a little less risky. Let's go 6 min uniques, and that's already pretty freaking diverse. And you see already it's picking up these 3 3s, 4 2s, or whatever. So maybe what you can do is go min uniques a little less until you at least get a representation of the stacks that you want. What would that look like? Even still, it's still giving me some of these, but I think this is where we set the bar. The min uniques 4, and then we can manually chop out these randos, these 3 2s, these 3 2 2s. We'll keep in the 3 3 2s, but that's it. Okay. So now I wonder where our team stack exposure is. Now we're still at 97% LA. It's rough. So I'm going to be curious what happens when we run the contest sims. Now again, remember what's happening here. I already did these. I already saved these settings. Kick save is going to have 3,900 people in it, or entries, 20% for first, 22.4% entries paid. We're going to run, 100,000 sims. And then the penalty kill, that's the 400, 200 people, 200 entries in it, 27% for first, 22% entries paid, 100,000 sims. So, and we are comparing all these to the Saber Sim ownership field, which is, again, it's taking a leap of faith that the Saber Sim ownerships are good, but that's fine. So let's run these, and then I'm going to be curious to see whether our exposures become different, because usually in hockey they do. In basketball, because it's such a projection-based sport, really, the variance, the standard deviation, I should say, not saying that sort of, within the NBA is just much less than that of hockey. Like hockey, you get zeros, you get 5, 5, 5, 5, 30, Depending on hockey, they do give you points for shots and stuff like that. Anyway, let's sort these by, let's use the kick save by risk-adjusted ROI. And, oh, well, whoa, look at that. Not as much LA. Now we're at only 42% LA, 35% Zona. And then, ooh, look at this, the ultimate leverage. The San Jose leverage, because they're playing LA. Very interesting. Stack exposure, we're good. So I love it. I mean, I think this is exactly the way I would play the kick save, because what I'm looking for is having the contest sims affect the Saber score rated lineups, okay, without like completely going bananas. If I was getting 95% LA, and then when I ran the sims would give me 0, my head would explode. Okay, but this is what I would expect the sims to do, is to say, listen, we know you like LA, but everybody else does too. So you got to chill, and that's what this kind of portfolio is the, you got to chill type portfolio. It's getting you some Arizonas, getting you some other stuff. And I'll probably just use that. And listen, the projections are going to change, but this is the process. So let's just go ahead and put that in right into the kick save. Boom. And then we will look at the penalty kill and see what we get for that. As you might imagine, pretty conservative, playing LA's, with a 6-man LA, with one off from Josie, very expensive one off at defense. Then McLeod makes sense to me. And up we go. I gotta go shortly. And we upload them here. And that's literally kind of all I do. Now, again, there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. Before that, when you got to get to the good projections, you got to do the right tweaks and all that stuff. But that is the process I use to build my NHL lineups. And I shouldn't say you should do the same. People want to know what I do, and that's just what I do. Any comments, suggestions, whatever, please let me know. And that will do it. I will see you guys. We're going to be doing a live stream at 6. We talk mostly about the NBA, if I remember. If I have time, I will get into some hockey, but I just always seem to run out of time. Okay, just a handful of you guys showed up for the live, so I don't know if I'm going to keep doing the lives. I'll end up definitely continuing to record as necessary, but we shall see. That'll do it. Good